It's a Jeep thing. You wouldn't understand, and neither would I. Today, we're going to be working on the central axle disconnect on my 1986 Jeep Comanche. It's the same setup that's on a Wrangler or a Cherokee of the era. Basically, inside here you have a stub shaft going out to the wheel. Then at this point you have a clutch fork and ring setup almost like inside a manual transmission. Then you have a shaft going to the differential on this side and another shaft going out to the wheel on the driver's side. And since this is an open differential, if you just disconnect the axle here, this shaft is going to spin just like any other open differential, which means that side will never get power. So you don't have to disconnect both sides. You just have to disconnect one if you've got an open differential. Right now, I've got everything in two-wheel drive, which means this stub shaft should not be connected to this differential, which means if we spin that tire, this drive shaft shouldn't move. Let's find out. All right, let's spin this passenger side tire and see if the drive shaft is turning. That drive shaft is indeed turning, which means this central axle disconnect has not disconnected a thing. There could be several reasons for that. Somebody could have actually done the central axle disconnect workaround that I'm about to do today, and if so, then we'll open it up, we'll take a look at it and say, hey, good job, we'll be done. The other option is this thing is vacuum driven, and that vacuum pod could have gone bad and basically just jammed it into the four-wheel drive position, which wouldn't be great because it could come out of it at any time, and we don't want that. That would just return us to two-wheel drive unexpectedly. This should be fairly easy to get this cover off here. They are 4 what looks like 7/16 bolts on this one. Could be different on yours because it's the AMC years. These could probably be Torx, these could be metric. Who knows? I just hope they don't break. That would be bad. This one is just finger tight, which tells me that this has probably been open before. Now, the theory behind this whole thing is that it takes the place of manual locking hubs on the outside. It's vacuum operated, it's unreliable, and nobody likes it. Oh, we're leaking already, so that's good. There we go. We're going to lose a little bit of gear oil, but not a lot. Now you can see, this is the fork, just like a clutch fork. And it is currently connected, and it shouldn't be. I'll get you in here closer. So this is that ring I was talking about, and all it does is connect this outer wheel stub shaft over to the shaft coming off the differential. And ours was already in that locked position, which means these two spin together. When I spin this, you can see that ring is spinning, which means that inner shaft is spinning, which is why this drive shaft turns. Now, if we unlock it, just like maybe like that, now if I spin this wheel, you can see it's not turning that inner shaft at all, which means this drive shaft doesn't turn. We are going to do the deletify that we need to do. This is the position it should be in right now. This diaphragm has gone bad. Instead of replace the diaphragm, we're going to take the snap ring, or C-clip or E-clip, that's right here on the shaft. We're going to take it off, push the fork over, and put the clip back on with this fork sitting in the on position, like that. Yes. To do that, maybe we should go to the bench. We'll just disconnect some vacuumy thingies, and we'll take this with us. Okay, this is the central axle disconnect actuator. And it's just like a manual transmission on the inside, except it is vacuum actuated, or in this case, not vacuum actuated because it's gone bad. This is the four-wheel drive position, slid all the way towards the driver's side. And this, we can push it over, there we go. This is the two-wheel drive position, which is pushed over towards the passenger side by, oh, I don't know, maybe an inch, maybe 3/4. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove this snap ring that's on the shaft, slide the fork over, and put the snap ring back on with the fork in this position. We're going to put the snap ring back on right there. And what that's going to do is make sure that no matter what, once we pull up on the four-wheel drive lever, this thing is in four-wheel drive and not relying on vacuum and a tiny rubber diaphragm to make sure we're in four-wheel drive. Aha! I didn't even see that fly at my face. There it is. That's the C-clip / E-clip. No one to slide over there. All right, well, let's pull this entire vacuum pod out. It's just held in by another gigantic C-clip right there. All right, and that's the one that holds this vacuum pod in. Now we should be able to pull this thing apart with a hammer, probably. All right. Ha! And there we go. I think the easiest route is let's put the C-clip or E-clip back onto this groove, then we'll insert this back in, and that'll do the job that we were trying to do a second ago by just moving the fork. Like that. Now we've got that second C-clip right where we want it. Insert this back in. Oh, is that too big? Why would they do that? Okay, we can't do that because this clip is bigger than this clip. This clip will not slide back through the hole. Okay. Plan number 3. Let's put this in here. I'll put the fork back on, just like that. We got to put this clip back in, and then when we push this vacuum pod on, it'll shove it back up into there. Let's get this clip put on there. Okay. Clip is back on the shaft. Now we push that shaft back into the housing, and we should be able to push this thing back up. There we go, just like that, into the diaphragm. There we go. Perfect. The diaphragm is now seated up against the housing. This clip is pushed here, so in no way can this ever go back to the off position. Now all we have to do is put the big clip back onto the diaphragm to keep it from sliding out, and we can install this, and the job is done. There we go. Clip is seated. Diaphragm is attached. This can no longer slide to the 2-wheel drive position at all, ever, hopefully, again. And we'll put this back on the Jeep. Should we clean this up a little bit? Absolutely not. And from the factory, this has a cork gasket. We didn't tear it somehow when we pulled that off. So let's slide this back over to 4-wheel drive. Make sure that the drive shaft spins. Yes, it does. And we'll put this back in. Just like that. 4 volts, and we're done. And we lost probably a 1/4 of a cup of gear lube, if that. I mean, we didn't lose much at all. It looked like we lost more than we did. So for now, I'm not even going to worry about topping that off. But if you wanted to, then you can pull the bolt off your differential cover to check your fluid. Stick your finger in there. If your pinky finger hits fluid, it's good enough. If it doesn't quite hit fluid, add some. Now, because I put no silicone on this, and we just relied on the cork gasket that was here originally, there is a 99.9% chance that this is now going to leak when it didn't leak before. But I'm not going to deal with that today. I'm going to mess with that once the leak happens. Because there's a 0.1% chance that it won't. And there we go. Besides, I've got other leaks to worry about. I think this is a valve cover. At least I hope it is. That's going to do it for today. The central axle disconnect has been disconnected. So now we're connected without a disconnect. Yeah, sure. And I don't know. I've still got lots of work to do to this thing, but I can't do that until I see you next time.